In this video, we'll be taking a look at 4 NBA games happening on March 30th, 2025, and providing you with free team picks and total picks for each one of those games, so 8 picks in total. Welcome back to Cash Out Sports. Let's dive right into it. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe and to click the bell icon to get notified as soon as these videos get released, so that you have more time to plan out your bets as we provide these videos on a daily basis. I can guarantee that you'll have all the important information that you'll need on these 4 NBA games after fully watching this video. One more thing before we start. If you would like to gain access to our best exclusive sports picks to take your journey to the next level, then check out our Patreon in the link down below, where we offer our best single picks, parlay picks, and much more. Now let's get started. Detroit Pistons versus Minnesota Timberwolves. The Detroit Pistons are set to hit the road for a Sunday night showdown against the Minnesota Timberwolves at the Target Center. This matchup brings together two teams that are both carrying strong momentum into the final stretch of the season, setting the stage for what should be an exciting battle on the court. Detroit is feeling confident after securing a victory in their last game, which guaranteed them a winning record for the season. They are playing with a noticeable edge and could be a real problem for opponents once the playoffs begin. Meanwhile, Minnesota has been one of the hottest teams in the league, resembling the squad that made a deep run to the Western Conference Finals last season. Their recent form suggests they are starting to peak at just the right time. Unfortunately for the Pistons, they will have to manage without Cade Cunningham, who remains sidelined due to a lingering calf bruise. His absence has been a challenge, but Detroit has shown resilience even without their star player. On the other side, the Timberwolves are monitoring the status of Terrence Shannon Jr., whose availability remains uncertain for this matchup. Given how well both teams have been performing lately, fans should expect a closely contested game. The Pistons are riding high after taking down the surging Cleveland Cavaliers, securing their 5th win in their last 6 games. Meanwhile, the Timberwolves are finally at full strength and playing with the confidence of a team that knows what it takes to win. It makes sense why Minnesota is being favored in this game, especially with Cunningham sidelined for Detroit. However, it's worth remembering that the Pistons already handled business against the Timberwolves earlier in the season, winning 119-105 on January 4th. The oddsmakers are giving Minnesota plenty of respect due to their home court advantage and Detroit's injury situation, but the Timberwolves have struggled with inconsistency all season. If the regular season ended today, they would find themselves in the play-in tournament instead of safely in a playoff spot. Their record against the spread reflects their inability to consistently cover, even when expected to dominate. The Pistons have already proven they can win tough games without Cunningham, as evidenced by their victory over the Cavaliers. They also upset Minnesota earlier in the year as 6.5-point underdogs. Detroit thrives on tough, physical defense, and if the Timberwolves aren't prepared to match that intensity, this game could easily go down to the wire. As our first pick for this matchup, the Detroit Pistons to cover the spread as underdogs is our full game side pick. When considering the total points for this game, betting on the over appears to be a strong option. Both teams play at a pace that suggests a high-scoring affair. According to StatMuse.com, the Timberwolves rank 23rd in offensive pace with a rating of 97.51, while the Pistons push the tempo even more, ranking 6th with a pace of 99.92. This sets up a matchup where the game should be played at a quick pace, leading to plenty of scoring opportunities. Recent trends further support this prediction. In 4 of their last 5 games, both the Pistons and Timberwolves have exceeded the posted total. Detroit has been particularly reliable when it comes to hitting the team total over, accomplishing this in 42 of their last 63 games. Meanwhile, Minnesota has done so in 27 of their last 38. The Timberwolves have also consistently seen high-scoring games at home, with the game total over hitting in 32 of their last 50 contests played at the Target Center. In their previous meeting this season, these two teams combined to go over the projected total, and there's little reason to believe this rematch will play out any differently. The numbers and trends all point toward another game where the scoreboard sees plenty of action. As our second pick for this matchup, over the projected total is our full game total pick. Golden State Warriors versus San Antonio Spurs. On Sunday night, the Golden State Warriors will go head-to-head with the San Antonio Spurs at the Frost Bank Center. The Warriors are coming into this matchup with a bit of rest, while the Spurs will be on the second night of a back-to-back, which always adds an extra layer of difficulty for the team playing on short recovery time. The scheduling factor could play a role in how this game unfolds, especially with the Spurs having to dig deep for energy after playing the previous night. Golden State is still without Gary Payton, but there's good news on their end as Stephen Curry is expected to return to the lineup. Meanwhile, the Spurs remain shorthanded, missing key players like De'Aaron Fox and Victor Wembanyama. The Warriors have done a decent job holding things together while Curry has been out, managing to stay competitive and avoid completely sinking. But there's no question they are a different team when he's on the floor, and his expected return brings a huge boost. The last time these two teams met, the Spurs pulled off a 104-94 victory back on November 23rd. That feels like a long time ago, though, and things have changed significantly since then. The Warriors had started to hit their stride before Curry's absence, and I expect his return to put them back on track for another strong run. This is a pretty big spread for the Warriors to cover, especially considering they've been in a lot of close games recently and have gone just 2-6-2 against the spread in their last 10 outings. Still, it's hard to ignore the situation the Spurs are in, playing on back-to-back nights while missing some key players. That's a tough combination to overcome, especially against a team getting back a star like Curry. The Spurs have actually done a decent job covering spreads lately, hitting in 7 of their last 10 games. But this could be the kind of game that gets out of hand if Golden State comes out sharp. With the Warriors rested and healthier, they have a clear advantage over a Spurs team that might struggle to keep up for 4 quarters. As our first pick for this matchup, the Golden State Warriors to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. On the Spurs side, Devin Vassell has stepped up in a big way recently, taking on a heavier offensive load. In Thursday's loss, he hit the 20-point mark for the 4th straight game while also draining at least 3 three-pointers in each of those contests. March has been a strong month for Vassell, and while the team's playoff hopes are all but gone, his recent play gives Spurs fans something to feel good about heading into the future. With Victor Wembanyama and De'Aaron Fox sidelined, the Spurs have needed someone to take the reins, and Vassell has answered the call. His overall numbers this season aren't quite as strong as last year, but this recent stretch has been one of the best of his young career. San Antonio isn't a particularly fast-paced team, sitting somewhere in the middle of the league when it comes to tempo, but they've been scoring enough lately to make this an interesting matchup in terms of total points. As our second pick for this matchup, over the projected total is our full game total pick. Toronto Raptors versus Philadelphia 76ers. The Toronto Raptors will be making their way to the Wells Fargo Center this Sunday evening, where they will face off against the Philadelphia 76ers in an Eastern Conference matchup. With the regular season winding down, both teams are looking to close things out on a strong note, even if their playoff hopes have already been dashed. Currently sitting in 11th place in the Eastern Conference standings, the Raptors hold a record of 27-47. They have managed to put together a small surge lately, winning their last 3 games. Their most recent victory came on Friday night when they secured a 108-97 home win against the Charlotte Hornets. On the other side, the 76ers are struggling even more, holding the 12th spot in the East with a 23-50 record. They have been in freefall, dropping 6 straight games, including a tough 119-114 loss at home against the Washington Wizards on Wednesday. This will be the 4th and final meeting between these two teams this season, and so far, Toronto has dominated the series, winning all 3 previous matchups. For this game, the Raptors will be giving Jakob Poeltl and Immanuel Quickley a night off, opting to rest both players. Meanwhile, the 76ers are still without several key pieces, as Andre Drummond, Tyrese Maxey, Joel Embiid, and Paul George remain sidelined. While Toronto has been playing at a higher level recently, the frequent lineup changes make it tough to fully trust them. However, when comparing the two teams' recent performances, the Raptors appear to be in much better shape. Defensively, the numbers paint a stark contrast between these two squads. Over their last 3 contests, the Raptors have clamped down on their opponents, allowing just 96 points per game. Meanwhile, the 76ers' defense has been in shambles, conceding an average of 125 points over their last 5 outings. Rebounding on the offensive end also highlights a noticeable gap, with the Raptors ranking 4th in the league at a 31.5% offensive rebounding rate. The Sixers, in comparison, rank much lower at 23rd with a 27.6% rate. These discrepancies in defensive effort and rebounding efficiency suggest that Toronto has a clear advantage heading into this matchup. Against the spread, the Raptors have remained a reliable team despite their struggles in the win-loss column. On the flip side, the 76ers have been one of the worst teams in the league in this regard. Philadelphia holds an abysmal 25-46-2 against the spread record this season, and they have failed to cover in 5 straight games. Toronto, meanwhile, has been a strong bet, covering in all 3 matchups against the Sixers this season while also winning outright each time. The Raptors are currently riding a 3-game winning streak both straight up and against the spread. Over their last 7 games, they also rank 3rd in the NBA in defensive rating. Conversely, the 76ers have been struggling mightily, losing 6 in a row outright and 5 straight against the spread. They currently sit dead last in defensive rating over their previous 7 games. Philadelphia has seemingly thrown in the towel on this season, and with their latest loss, they have been officially eliminated from playoff contention. As a result, motivation is likely at an all-time low. With a 26-48 against the spread record, the 76ers have given little reason for bettors to back them. Meanwhile, Toronto continues to play with effort, even in a lost season. The Raptors are 45-28-1 against the spread this year, making them one of the most profitable teams against the spread. Only the Oklahoma City Thunder have a higher cover percentage than the Raptors. On the other hand, the 76ers own the worst cover percentage in the league. Toronto has already taken care of business against Philly 3 times this season, including a comfortable 13-point victory just a couple of weeks ago. As our first pick for this matchup, the Toronto Raptors to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. Offensively, neither team has been particularly impressive this season. The Raptors rank near the bottom of the league, sitting 26th in offensive rating with a mark of 109.5. The 76ers aren't much better, ranking 21st with an offensive rating of 111.6. When it comes to efficiency, both teams continue to struggle. Toronto currently sits 24th in effective field goal percentage at 52.1%, while Philadelphia is just slightly better at 22nd with a 52.8% mark. With both teams having a hard time scoring efficiently, this game has the makings of a low-scoring affair. As our second pick for this matchup, under the projected total is our full game total pick. Houston Rockets versus Phoenix Suns. Sunday brings a full slate of 8 games across the association, and one of the most anticipated matchups takes place at the Footprint Center in Phoenix, Arizona. In this Western Conference showdown, the Houston Rockets will face off against the Phoenix Suns. This game marks the final meeting of their 3-game regular season series, and the Rockets are looking to complete the sweep, which would be their first over the Suns since the 2018-2019 season. So far, Houston has already secured 2 wins against Phoenix in the 2024-2025 season, taking home victories at home on February 12th and March 12th. The Rockets have made the decision to rest Tari Eason for this game, and they are also keeping an eye on Reed Shepherd, who is listed as questionable. On the other side, the Suns are still without Bradley Beal, who remains sidelined due to a hamstring injury. These teams have faced off twice already this season, with the Rockets emerging victorious in both matchups, each by a narrow margin. Phoenix was on a solid run before they were halted by 2 playoff-bound teams, the Boston Celtics and the Minnesota Timberwolves. Meanwhile, the Rockets are entering this game with some of the best momentum in the league. After a dominant stretch, including a recent win that gave them 10 victories in their last 11 games, the Rockets now set their sights on sweeping the regular season series against the Suns. Under head coach Ime Udoka, the Rockets have become one of the most consistent teams as the season progresses, showing excellent form just as the Western Conference standings are starting to get tighter. Alperen Sengun, in particular, has been a standout during this stretch and could be poised for another big performance against a Phoenix squad that has struggled to defend against opposing big men throughout the season. Additionally, the Rockets have been solid against Phoenix, going 4-1 both straight up and against the spread in their last 5 meetings. For the Suns, their playoff hopes have become increasingly uncertain after back-to-back losses to Boston and Minnesota. While there's no shame in losing to either of those teams, the way they lost has raised concerns about their ability to make it into the postseason. They're still just 1 game behind the slumping Sacramento Kings, but Phoenix has the toughest remaining schedule in the NBA, and the odds are stacked against them when it comes to securing a spot in the playoffs. That said, there is a small silver lining. The Suns have gone 6-1 straight up in their last 7 home games. However, they've struggled to cover the spread at home, managing to cover just 14 times in 37 games so far this season. The first 2 meetings between these teams were never really in question, with the Rockets proving to be the stronger and more informed squad. Houston has been a much more reliable bet, especially on the road. So far this season, they've covered the spread in 20 of their 36 road games, and we expect that number to improve to 21 after Sunday's game. As our first pick for this matchup, the Houston Rockets to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. When it comes to hitting the over, both teams have performed fairly well this season. Each team has an over record of 38 to 34 to 2 so far. The offensive efficiency numbers support the potential for a high-scoring game, with the Rockets ranking 12th in the league with an offensive rating of 114.5, while the Suns sit just ahead in 9th with a rating of 115.3. Houston has also been hitting the over at a strong clip lately, going 6 to 3 to 1 in their last 10 games and hitting the over in 4 of their last 5 contests. As our second pick for this matchup, over the projected total is our full game total pick. That's all for now, so if you have any other games you would like reviewed, then leave a comment down below with the game you would like analyzed. Subscribe to our channel, leave a like on this video, and we'll get to it as soon as we possibly can. We would also love to hear your opinion on the picks presented to you in this video, whether you agree or disagree with them, so leave a comment down below and do let us know.